Have you ever pondered what differentiates the middle class from the first class? A question that perhaps has been a topic of many a dinner table conversation, or maybe it's just something you've thought about in passing. Regardless, it's a question that carries many implications and a world of differences. In this video, we'll be exploring this question in depth, peeling back the layers of society to understand what truly sets these two classes apart. We'll be delving into various aspects such as lifestyle contrasts, educational disparities, and the overarching societal differences. The general perception of the middle class and the first class is often shaped by stereotypes and media portrayals, but the reality is far more complex and nuanced. So, as we embark on this journey, we encourage you to set aside any preconceived notions you might have. Keep an open mind as we dive into the societal differences and individual case studies. Before we delve into the differences, it's essential to understand the definitions of middle class and first class. So let's start with the term middle class. It's a broad and somewhat nebulous term, but generally it refers to individuals or families who fall between the working class and the upper class in terms of income, education, and societal status. This group typically holds jobs in sectors such as teaching, healthcare, or business. They live comfortably, able to afford necessities and some luxuries, but often find themselves balancing between economic stability and instability. For many in the middle class, education is seen as the gateway to better opportunities. They tend to hold at least a bachelor's degree, and many may have postgraduate degrees. Middle-class values often center around hard work, self-sufficiency, and the importance of education. Now, let's shift gears and talk about the first class. This term is often used interchangeably with upper class, but there's a slight difference. First class refers to the top layer of society, the crème de la crème, if you will. These are individuals or families who have significant wealth, which often comes from long-standing family fortunes, high-paying jobs in fields like law, medicine, or technology, or successful entrepreneurial ventures. Education in the first class often goes beyond tertiary levels, with many holding multiple advanced degrees, studying at elite institutions, or receiving private tutoring. Their lifestyle is marked by luxury, with access to high-end goods and services, and opportunities for extensive travel and leisure activities. However, it's important to remember that these classes aren't just about money. They're also about the values, attitudes, and behaviors that different income levels can foster. Interestingly, where you stand in these classes can greatly influence your worldview, your aspirations, and even your stress levels. It can determine the opportunities you have access to, the challenges you face, and the lifestyle you lead. Now that we have a clear understanding of these terms, let's examine some case studies. Consider the case of Mr. A, a middle-class individual, and Mr. B, a first-class individual. Let's delve into the lifestyles of these two characters. Mr. A, our middle-class man, typically has a single source of income, often from a salaried job. His earnings are usually just enough to cover his monthly expenses, which include necessities like housing, food, transportation, and education for his children. He's cautious about his spending, always on the lookout for discounts and savings. When it comes to savings, Mr. A understands its importance. He diligently tucks away a small portion of his income every month, despite the financial constraints. His investments, if any, are generally conservative, favoring safe options like fixed deposits or government bonds. Now let's turn the spotlight onto Mr. B, the first-class individual. Unlike Mr. A, Mr. B has multiple streams of income. These could include a high-paying job, profits from a business, or returns from a diverse investment portfolio. His monthly earnings significantly exceed his expenses, allowing for a more lavish lifestyle. Mr. B's spending habits mirror his income. He doesn't shy away from luxury, be it gourmet dining, high-end fashion, or exotic vacations. He's not waiting for sale season, he buys what he wants when he wants it. But that's not to say he's careless with his finances. On the contrary, he's strategic about his spending, often investing in assets that appreciate over time, like real estate or stocks. Savings for Mr. B are not about survival but about wealth accumulation. He sets aside a substantial portion of his income, which is then funneled into a variety of investments. He's not averse to taking calculated risks, often exploring high-return options like the stock market or real estate investments. As we can see, the lifestyle of a middle-class individual differs significantly from that of a first-class individual. Let's now focus on the education gap between middle class and first class through the example of Miss C and Miss D. Miss C, a middle-class individual, and Miss D from the first class, both embarked on their educational journeys at a young age. But here's where the similarities end. Miss C attended a local public school where resources were limited and classes were often overcrowded. Despite these challenges, she worked hard, often staying up late to complete her assignments, and managed to perform decently in her academics. Her education was largely funded by her parents' hard-earned savings and a small scholarship she received on account of her diligent efforts. Her career prospects, while promising, were largely confined to her local area due to her limited exposure and resources. On the other hand, Miss D's educational journey was strikingly different. She attended a private, internationally recognized school with state-of-the-art facilities and a low student-to-teacher ratio. This allowed her to receive personalized attention, aiding her in excelling in her studies. Her education was funded by her family's wealth and a prestigious scholarship awarded to her based on her academic prowess. Due to her school's reputation and her exceptional academic record, her career prospects were wide-ranging, spanning across the globe. This illustrates a significant education gap between the middle and first-class individuals. Miss C's education was constrained by her socio-economic status, while Miss D's privileged background provided her with opportunities that were beyond Miss C's reach. This is not to say that Miss C's efforts were in vain. Her determination and hard work are commendable. However, the stark difference in educational opportunities and resources between the two classes can significantly impact an individual's career trajectory and, eventually, their class status. Education, in essence, serves as a stepping stone to one's future, shaping their skills, knowledge, opportunities, and ultimately, their societal standing. Clearly, education plays a critical role in defining the class of an individual. Having looked at our case studies, we can now summarize the key differences between the middle class and first class. We've delved into the contrasting lifestyles and the educational disparities that exist between these two societal classes. Starting off with lifestyle differences, we've seen how the middle class typically lives a life that is more centered around necessity, with a focus on essential expenditures like housing, food, and basic amenities. The first class, on the other hand, has the luxury of indulging in premium experiences, from high-end dining to exotic holidays, due to a larger disposable income. The differences in lifestyle also extend to the kind of neighborhoods these classes reside in. First-class neighborhoods often have access to better public services, such as parks, libraries, and well-maintained roads, while middle-class neighborhoods might not always have these advantages. Now, let's not forget the educational disparities we've discussed. The middle class, often due to financial constraints, usually has access to public or lower-priced private education. However, the first class, with more financial resources at their disposal, can afford to send their children to prestigious private schools or even international boarding schools. This can lead to a significant difference in the quality of education received by children from these two classes, potentially affecting their future opportunities. But let's remember, these differences in lifestyle and education do not necessarily translate to differences in happiness, success, or worth. The middle-class person who finds joy in simple pleasures and the first-class person who enjoys luxury experiences are both capable of leading fulfilling lives. And education, while impactful, is not the sole determinant of a person's potential. A child from a middle-class family, given the right opportunities and support, can excel just as much as a child from a first-class family. Remember, these classes are societal constructs and do not define a person's worth or potential. In conclusion, the differences between middle class and first class are not just about wealth. They encompass lifestyle, education, and a myriad of other factors. We've delved into the stark contrast in lifestyle, highlighting the varying access to resources and opportunities. We've also shed light on the education gap, a significant factor that plays a pivotal role in shaping one's future. We must remember that these classifications are merely societal constructs. They don't define us as individuals. It's essential to respect all classes, acknowledging that every person's journey is unique and influenced by a variety of circumstances. Rather than striving to climb the societal ladder, let's focus on personal growth and development. Let's strive to be more informed, more empathetic, and more understanding. Because at the end of the day, it's not about where you stand in society, but who you are as a person. Thank you for watching. Stay curious, stay informed, and remember, your class does not define you. You define your class.